Okay, we're gonna call this video busted, okay? Because it felt like an eye opener when Knox asked Ren how it was so easy for him to switch from being Vincent into being Percy. Okay, so I had to think about that for myself. Um, when it comes to sort of role playing in life. I'm aware of how I behaved kind of throughout my life to try on um different uh what would you call it? Try on different experiences as if they were real, but whenever the consequences took effect of playing those roles, and I would call them roles because there is something in the back of my mind, or maybe not even in the back of my mind, that knew that wasn't really who I was. I was just seeing what it felt like getting in line for meds or any of those things because I was doing what everybody in the group was doing. I was just curious about what the medication would do, kind of like a child playing with a chemistry set. Okay, and then there was the other thing about being in groups of people who would go around and say that they were alcoholics, but I was never quick to jump on saying anything like that about myself because I didn't really believe it. I thought, like, in my mind, anything that you're doing, you have a choice of whether you're doing it or not. And so, just like saying, it was easy for me to go through the experience of being a mental patient into turning myself into a counselor or a healer, doctor, whatever you want to call it. I just transform myself into that mindset. I don't think that's being manipulative. It's like, I did not want to be that person. And so I had to do something better with myself. And I don't necessarily want to be committed to any type of role playing position. That's not true to myself. So it was kind of like they busted me with what they did today because this morning I listened to a very long lecture from Jordan Peterson, and in his notes he wrote, "I am incapacitated at the moment," and I had like there's this thing when I Google my name, it comes up with a court document that said Chelsea has been incapacitated and has guardianship. And I was like, who is the guardian? And it had this lawyer's name. And I was like, there is no guardian over me. After, like, 1 year after that document was made, I ended up in my own house. So that pretty much would insinuate that I became the guardian of myself. And it's just this documentation that bothers me. But I looked at the date to see when that was written, and it said that it was written in 2017. And I just have to stop and think for a moment. Why did I get put in these strange circumstances? Because it's been brought up. I know exactly what the different things that I was doing, or at least a few that were brought up different times I went to the mental institution. And in 2017, I was spending all of my time trying to pretend like I was a military boot camp person and focus on diet, um, simple clothing choices. I wasn't speaking, and that was the year that I lost over 100 pounds. So it was just a mental framework that I was putting myself into, and I can do that with anything if I give it enough study. And so that's like, I know that that's not the definition of incapacitated, because a person who's incapacitated doesn't exercise and lose 100 pounds within 8 months. That is not anything close to a person who's incapacitated. And whether you decide that you want to um, communicate or not, that's a personal choice. You have to have people that you cooperate well with for communication. But these are things that have been brought to the forefront of my mind as to what's going on, because I was kind of taken aback when Knox said that to Ren. As how come it's so easy for you just to transform into a new character like that? And I had to question myself. And it is a very good question when it comes to your own human imagination. Because how bad do you want, like that, like what is the idea of being a wannabe? You want to learn how to do something, you want to learn how to become something, and you put in effort to do that. You might only be curious about what it feels like to be in a certain group or situation just because that you've noticed it. But as far as that goes, I would not mess around with that ever again, because I don't want to have the consequences of doing things that I think is only playing around and it turns out to seriously affect me. That is why it was easy for me to change, because I don't want the consequences. It has nothing to do with being a manipulative person. It has to do with being a curious person. I could go back and think about when I first went to an eating disorder treatment center, and in my mind, I did not believe that I had an eating disorder. But I was curious about the eating disorder place. I know how to, it seems like I know how to keep myself from getting too extreme. At least a lot better than I used to. But these are things that really have to be called into question, because now that we're talking about this, I have started to wonder about the difference between intelligence and imagination. Because if imagination has to do with intelligence, and intelligence is just your ability to role play and become whoever you want to be in your imagination, and you take that really serious and you take that really far, then I guess that would be something that intelligence could do to you that's dangerous, because you have to be able to pull yourself away from wherever you're taking yourself if it becomes too dangerous for you. Now it just has to be something that's healthy for yourself. It's not like that person wasn't you. It's just that it's just like studying. Like, I'm not, if I go study how to do electrical wiring or carpentry or any kind of handyman type thing, I don't have this handyman personality. I still have the same personality. It's just that I'm learning what those types of people do, and I can do it. Well, the same would be about trying to study what kind of techniques work for your mental health, or trying to imagine what God is, or the soul is, or all of that stuff is coming from your imagination somehow. And I don't really know how to explain that to the best of my ability. But even in the situation about this whole family idea, it's like it gets extremely powerful in my head, and I don't know. Like, I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on with people being interested in me, because I don't know why they would be. If anybody can just do anything they want by focusing on it and adopting the skill set needed to become whatever it is they're thinking of, why would anybody be thinking that I'm anything out of the ordinary? It's not. And I think it would be more out of the ordinary if you weren't transforming yourself when you noticed that one um, idea of who you tried to experiment with being did not work for you, so you had to call in a new being for yourself so that you could both survive and have a better quality of life. So in this case, I'm calling it the judgment of truth. I am not a liar. I am not a liar by anything that I can, by my own standards. I can't think of anything that I've done. I am an experimenter, is what I am. And I'm not, like, even being at my house, there's nothing that I'm faking about anything that I've said. Like, it's comes down to the issue. Am I able to do what I want to do? How do I do it? And that's all there is to it. And I can get quite hung up about that if I think it's actually possible that I get to do it. But it's like I don't know. There's so many things that, like, I could think of being a wannabe anything, and I think that I could become so into it that I would be able to do it pretty much anything that I wanted to. That's just there would be some kind of material about what this type of role would typically do. I would know about that, and then I would probably adapt it to how I wanted it to be, which based on what comes out of myself. So I think that was a good one, to give myself the judgment of a truth teller and to make that observation, because when the incapacitated thing, that was what I wanted to talk about, was when Jordan Peterson said, I'm incapacitated, and then he put out like over an hour long lecture with a page worth of writing. I was like, that is not what incapacitated is. Incapacitated means that, like, you have lost your ability to think for yourself, and that is not what so I'm like, he made me feel better by doing that, and so did Ren, by me recognizing what Ren's doing in myself. Both of those things made me feel better. So thank you. And here's the next communication. I'm already back up on my feet working around my house. So it's good to get these burdens of any kind of accusations of what I might have been accused of off of myself by feeling appreciation for other people and recognizing a similarity that kind of shows the truth, I would say, is what the benefit of that was. So thank you.